What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to continue on with our 2JZ 350Z build. Original plan was to get some of this fab work done that we've been working on and you have seen before, and then customer was going to do the rest of the work himself. But now we're actually going to finish all the plumbing, the fuel system, exhaust, etc., etc. So we're going to take you along for the rest of this build. For now, don't forget to subscribe, guys. The giveaway is still going on. 500 subscribers, we're going to give away our shop merch and a thermostatic adapter plate from Mishimoto. So please subscribe, and I hope you're the winner. For this episode, we're going to go through all the parts that we got for this vehicle. Let me show you the parts, let me show you what we're working with, and we're going to get started with today's video. All right, here's what we got. There's lots of boxes and there's lots of parts, and we just got to go through it and figure out what's what. Here's we got a blow-off valve from Precision that's going to need to be mounted. We got some fuel system stuff. There's some injectors, fuel rail, blow-off valve. There's some clamps and hoses and some other stuff in this box. There's an exhaust and a downpipe. So now we just got to get this all organized, figure out what's what, and hit the ground running. There's also a dual fuel pump hanger with already 2 pumps mounted. There's our power steering pump. We have our pedal with a throttle cable on it that we still have to run and drill a hole for. So there's a lot of things to figure out and see what we're going to do and what we need, what we don't need, and get all that in the car. So I'm going to get all this out of the boxes and we're going to go through it. I went through the boxes and kind of made a little bit more sense of what we actually have and don't have here. I do see a new timing belt tensioner in here, so this is one of the priorities to get it installed today. And then we have a bag of, he's upgrading to a titanium studs for the exhaust manifold, so these will have to be installed or getting finished installed. Then we have a AC bracket, or I should say this is he's deleting the AC unit, so we got to get this bracket on. And this is the first things that I'm going to go after today, since we're going to have to pull the clip off again, and it's just easier, and then plus on top you need access to get all that on. I'm going to go ahead and remove the clip, and we're going to start disassembling all the covers, get them cleaned up, put a tensioner on, and then slowly start closing everything up and basically work from there. There's still a few things on order. We have gaskets for exhaust manifold coming. We have a gasket for intake manifold coming, so those are not going to be 100% installed just yet. Have to wait for those parts to arrive, but we have plenty of work cut out. There's a fuel system needs hooked up, his power steering needs to go on, all the plumbing needs to be hooked up. So I'm going to go after that today and kind of pick and choose what I can do just without all of the parts being here today. So let me get that strong clip out, and we're going to start replacing everything that we have in hand today. Let's do it. Alright guys, the front clip is off, so now I'm going to get this alternator off and pull this pulley off, and I'm going to see if I really have to take the crane pulley off to change our tensioner. I'm going to try to get away without doing that, but we'll see here in a second. The tensioner actually sits right here, so as soon as I get some of these pulleys off, I'm going to show you exactly where it's at. I did already loosen everything up, so it should come off with no problems. Alright guys, I went ahead and removed the pulley and the covers and broke loose our tensioner bolts, and here it is. This is the guy you guys are going to want to replace at some point. And when you replace it, it comes with this little pin here. So basically it just holds the tension of the spin while you're installing it, and then once it's in, you go ahead and pull it, and this plunger pops out of there and tightens up your tensioner on this pulley right over here. So for now, I went ahead and made a mark on our teeth, also at the bottom right over here, as you can see. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this off now. But if you guys are just doing your belt and you're not replacing your tensioner, you can go ahead and put some pressure right over here in this area with a screwdriver or breaker bar of some sort, and just get a small Allen wrench and put it right in this hole to hold that plunger down, and then replace your belt and release the tension. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and pull that off and put our new tensioner on. And there you have it. This is on now, and we still have a little bit of tension. Nothing slips, so you don't have to worry about the belt popping off. And all you do is just go ahead and pull your pin out, and there it is. So it's a self-tensioning unit, and easy peasy. Moving on. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and reinstall our covers back on, put the crank pulley, and start reassembling this back together. Alright guys, so I was trying to go ahead and mount our power steering pump, and with our delete AC bracket that we already had here, and we're running into a little problem. So problem number one is the pressure line that hooks up to our power steering rack is located right over here, and let me zoom in on that so you can see that there is absolutely no room to put any kind of fitting in to hook up a line. And problem number two is our gravity feed nipple is sitting right here, and our reservoir is sitting right there. So there's no way you can gravity feed fluid from that reservoir down to this area, and it's pointing right at the throttle body. So this is our solution here. I'm going to show you how we're going to end up fixing this. So we're still going to utilize the same bracket, but we're just going to have to modify it a little bit, and let me show you what we're going to do. So we're basically going to end up dropping the pump down lower, and let me snug this down a little bit so it doesn't wobble on me. We're still going to use the bottom pickup point here, but for the bottom, and then using the second leg that was originally made for a hole on the block, we're going to use it to pick up this side of the pump, and we're just going to end up cutting this off, cutting both of these legs off, and then welding one of them from here down to this original hole where it's meant to go, and then using this spacer in this area to fill in the gap on the inside. So that way, when we do go ahead and install this nipple, and let me get that on for you. So first of all, it's going to look a lot cleaner sitting lower, and then both fittings are going to be able to, let me see if I can see it right there, they're going to be able to go right in there, and that hose is going to be able to go right down to our power steering reservoir right over here. and it's going to be functional, and it's going to look way cleaner than the original way it's supposed to mount. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to mark this bracket where we have to cut off, and then Jake's going to end up welding another leg with another ear right over here, which is going to be just the same bracket, flipped and shortened. All right, I'm back. We just went ahead and cut this bracket the way we needed, and this is what we're going to run with. So here's one of the pieces. Here's that thicker bushing that's going to go on a different side of the bracket, but still in the same place on the pump, and we will weld that back up a little bit later, because Jake does have a lot of welding to do, and that's something that can be done later down the road. And here's that other piece of the bracket. We already went ahead and marked right over there. Can't get it. Yeah, you can kind of see the line right here. So this is going to pick up from your original point and go back up to this, and you're going to have a triangular bracket, and this is going to get cut smooth right over here. So once we're ready, we're going to go lop that off, weld it, clean this all up, and repaint it. Next thing we're going to do is get the alternator on, and then I think I'm going to start pulling the turbo off and the exhaust manifold, and then the intake manifold, so I can start working on getting the studs all replaced and installed properly. Alright guys, you saw me remove the turbo and exhaust manifold, and I went ahead and removed the studs. There was an issue with the very back top stud. The guy couldn't get it in, so I think I'm just going to go through and clean up all the threads on all the holes so they will go in with no issues. And we noticed that he was using one of these generic gaskets, and the problem with this gasket, whenever you're going to start making a little bit of power, these things tend to blow out and leak. So you want to use a multi-steel gasket if you can. Those are a lot better, and they just work overall a lot nicer. So I'm gonna clean up all the threads right now, and then what I want to do is get a little Scotch-Brite and clean up all the flanges on the block for the intake and exhaust manifold, so we know there's no debris when we go to put on all our new stuff. Alright, so everything is cleaned up. You saw me hitting it with the Scotch-Brite and a little bit of brake cleaner to get the gunk off of them. And I just want to point out, you guys don't want to use like a high speed on this, because it's very easy to take a lot of material off, and then what are you going to end up having is a leak. So don't do that. So now I got some blue Loctite, and we're going to go ahead and install our new studs. And these are all titanium hardware that he's running, which is super light, and they're also going to look good.
Alright guys, I got the welding hood off. Most of the welding's done. Got the charge pipes both completely welded up. This is where we mounted the blow-off valve. It was the only real estate we had left, and it's a pretty good fit. You know, we got clearance in there. The motor's obviously gonna torque and lift up, so we got enough clearance in there. Welded the bung on. This is 100%. I still, on this pipe, the one thing I have left, I have to put a inlet air temp bung, and we're gonna fit this just up inside on the bottom. It's gonna be out of the way. It'll keep a nice clean look on the inside, but it'll point down in that pocket. Then we can route the wires up and out of the way. And then over here, same thing. Got this burnt in. Fits pretty good. I'm happy with it. Went ahead and welded the Vibrant cast elbow on as well. Minimal deflection with the silicone coupler, so it's gonna be a nice fit. I don't think we're gonna have any problems with this popping off under higher boost. So that's what we got. We got the exhaust bolted up, mocked in. Everything seems like it's fitting pretty good. So we're happy with it. I still have a couple more things I gotta weld. I gotta do the water necks and the bungs on the radiator. Upper and lower, and then I got a water neck. I gotta put a -16 and fitting up here on the water neck that comes out, and one on the bottom as well. So if you guys are getting into this, doing the pie cuts and welding, make sure you got enough gas, because if you do the math, each pie cut, it's for a 3-inch pipe, like times pi, it's 3 times 3, so like 9 inches. Pretty much you got to make sure you have enough gas on hand if you're doing pie cuts, because it's multiple passes around a 3-inch pipe. It adds up. So I've been chewing through some gas. I've been tweaking the pre and the post flow down to the limits, so I can still get a nice clean weld. But that's where we're at. Super stoked how everything's fitting. We got plenty of wheel clearance over here. That was one of the big things. As you guys have seen before, on my dude's Alex's car, the wheel rubs his intercooler piping, so we're not going to have any of that issue how we got it routed. So good call. It was from experience on Alex's part that you know, we made sure there's no issues with rubbing, because it's a pain. A couple times it might have even been the cause of, you know, losing connections on the charge pipes, tire contact, pushing it around. So we got the fuel rail, it's bolted up. We were just mocking it up. We're gonna switch this up, and we're gonna run the fuel line underneath the intake manifold, and we're just gonna run a 90 here, and we're gonna pick up some Adele clamps on the bottom. It's a much cleaner look. If you can, why not run it underneath? It's just gonna be better overall. And then we're probably gonna run it back here through this secondary firewall, so it's away from all the heat and come around. So it's gonna be a nice sleek look.
All right, guys. While Jake was working on putting all the charge piping together, I went ahead and pulled all the old spark plugs out, all crusty ones. They look pretty beat up. So we're going with the NGKR spark plugs and LS coil packs. So this is what the guy already had in the car, and we went ahead and gapped these guys down to 20. So I don't know, most of you probably already know that the more boost you push in, the lower or the smaller your gap should be. But since this is going to be around maybe 18, 15 psi, we just set it to 20. That's a good number to have him at, and if you know, he can adjust them as he needs when he actually tunes his car. So I'm going to throw these in right now, and then we'll discuss future plans, what we got going on next here. Alright guys, so I just got new spark plugs put in, the coils are in, everything's 100% right here. There's some new bypass tubing right over here. Everything's tightened down and ready to rock and roll. And today was a good day. We did a lot of progress on this vehicle. A couple more days and I think it's going to be getting to that point where the wire harness is going to need to go in. So for tonight we're going to call it a wrap. There's going to be a few more videos on this vehicle, so stay tuned to follow up on this, and hit like and subscribe to our channel. We're going to have another video coming up shortly on an update on our LS 350Z and my 2JZ swap 350. So please hit that like, subscribe, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Take it easy.